Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Tammy Tran, one of our co-hosts at Imagine Talks podcasts. She is part of the Student Success Center at the University of San Francisco, USF, and she's here today to talk about topics relating to student success, common challenges, struggles, tips for management, and useful resources too. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you for having me.
So, Tammy, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you've done.
So, I work at the University of San Francisco, specifically in a department called Center for Academic and Student Achievement.
Mhm.
In this office, we help support students both academically and personally. And
Mm.
what that specifically means is we help students navigate throughout the education system within our university, from when they're a freshman all the way to their senior year.
So the whole gamut then.
Yes.
I mean, and how many students have you guided in the past?
So I've worked in the education system for about a decade now,
Oh, wow.
and I've helped thousands, tens of thousands of students,
Hmm.
at least in our university, both in like College of Art and Sciences, School of Management, Nursing, and Education.
That's impressive. Tens of thousands of
Yes.
students
Hmm.
with your coaching and your guidance, and you yourself, like with the work that you do, how have you weaved in your vision of your own life vision? What is the future that you see, the future that you want to reach with your work?
Well, for my life vision, I want people to be at least open-minded
Hmm.
to a lot of things, keep opportunities that they would have like ignored uh, open.
Yeah. And you mean, do you often have a lot of I mean, you mentioned challenges and struggles that a lot of students face too, but do they sometimes close the door on opportunities, or do you?
They do. They focus. So a lot of students tend to have a particular idea about a certain field or topic
Hmm.
or career path. And so they close themselves to other opportunities that are very similar or that they would more likely be uh, excellent at than what they've chosen and like think is the right thing.
So your job then, you broaden their views on life. You help them become open-minded to opportunities that they would have otherwise dismissed or ignored. Then,
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I don't know. I don't suppose there are any sort of common examples of how this comes about. Do a lot of is there a common thread or a common scenario where a student comes to you and
Yes.
comes with this?
So, for example, you can take like pre-meds, right?
Oh
They
yes,
typically
pre-meds.
think, yeah, they typically think, oh, if I want to be pre-med, I have to be in biology or some sort of science major,
Hmm.
and I had to take certain classes and do volunteer work and within the health field. And the only paths that are available is to become a doctor
Mm.
or a nurse and nothing else.
That's it?
Yeah, basically
Only those
that's
two?
generally a lot of like students' ideas of what pre-med is.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, or just going to like pharmaceuticals, but like three paths.
Yeah.
That's it. So our job is to help them see, there is a plethora of other health professional jobs and opportunities out there
Hmm.
that doesn't just direct towards the doctor route or the nursing route or pharmacist route. There's
And
plenty of other things you can get into that you might actually be more interested in.
so when they do come with this this struggle, or I mean, how does it manifest? Do people come to you on their own and ask about career choices, or do they usually come in with some sort of other complaint, like a grade problem?
It's like 50-50, to be
50-50?
completely honest.
Yeah.
Some students will come of their own volition because they're curious. They want to get as much help as possible. And
Oh,
they
okay.
hear about our office, our departments, and our department is mainly like pitched as the office that helps supports you in whatever like question you may have, or like um, if you're struggling personally or academically, or you have some other issue that maybe your major advisor or your career advisor or immigration advisor can't help you with.
Hmm.
And so there's your CASA advisor that can help you. And your CASA advisor is generally termed your academic success coach. So basically
Oh,
helping you reach success.
interesting. So
Yes.
actually, you mentioned Casa. What is, for folks who are not as familiar with what Casa is, what does Casa stand for?
So CASA stands for Center for Academic and Student Achievement, which is the
Oh.
department that I work for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to like abbreviate it, it's CASA. But then
Got
also
it.
it's like the Spanish term is like CASA's for home. So we're like your place away from home
Yeah.
is also how we like uh, pitch ourselves to students.
Yeah, and I think we've talked in the past before a little bit about Casa. You told me in the past that Casa is to help promote student success in college and to also have a safe and non-judgmental place for
Exactly.
students to grow and
Yeah.
navigate the college experience.
And we generally want students to feel like it's a place where there's no judgment. We'll
Yeah.
accept you however you are, whatever your problems are, and guide you towards the best path there is for you as a person, not as just a student, but as a person. So you
Oh,
reach the most optimal part of like your life.
yeah. And this is like a very, very challenging time, I imagine. You mentioned that 50%, maybe you said 50% of the students come to you
Of their own
because
volition, yes.
of their own volition. What about the other
Yeah.
50%?
The other group, they come either through referrals or they have some sort of issue, whether it's mental or personal or medical or
Oh,
something completely different, which um, they are directed over to our office. Or also, if they perform academically like not well,
yeah.
then they come over to us in our office, and we start to like meet with them on a very weekly or bi-weekly um, kind of path,
Hmm.
just to like really figure out what is it that is blocking them from being academically successful. And
Yeah.
that's where we sort of get into like their own personal lives, their own views. What is it that they are expecting? What are their goals as opposed to their parents' goals for them in life?
Oh,
And
that's
a lot of
interesting.
yeah,
So,
a
so,
lot
so,
of it is like parents' goals that they're trying to follow.
what kind of, so I imagine, so pre-med, that's pre-medical route. A lot of
Hmm.
students want to go into the healthcare professions. And is that something that you're finding that a lot of students come to you with the goal of going to these professions when it turns out that it's actually their parents who want them to go through with
Hmm.
this path?
If I were to break it down, it
Yeah.
would be like probably 40 to 45% of these students are doing it because of their parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that
So like
bad? Is that if bad necessarily bad thing if they want to follow what their parents want them to do?
it is not bad if they really don't know what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have their own goals or visions in life. They're just following what their parents want.
Oh, okay.
We try to help them as much as we can, as much as they're willing to be open with us,
Yeah.
to guide them to what they uh, feel like oh, this is the actual path that I want to take. This is actually what I'm interested in. But other times it's like these students don't want to do it. They're doing it because their parents want them to do it. And they're not good at it, which is why they're not doing academically well.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not within their expertise. No matter how hard they try, they can't grasp the concept to be able to do well in those courses.
So how can they, you mentioned that a lot of the students would pursue this if it were part of their goals, if it were part of their vision, but do they necessarily know how to set goals or a vision for themselves versus, um, and you mentioned the parents, the goals. How do they know how to distinguish it, or do you have to guide them sometimes?
We have to guide them
Yeah.
most of the times because students, again, like in our beginning conversation, they they don't really know what they want to do.
Oh,
Um,
uh-huh.
or they have like preconceptions of what this like pre-med route is going to be.
Hmm.
Um, and there's only so much research you can do. It's always more helpful to talk to somebody who has experience or knows what the actual procedure is going to be like and what to
Mm.
expect from it.
So if you had a message or thing that you often teach students for finding this vision and finding these goals, is there something that you would advise people or advise students and might be listening right now?
Yeah, I would. The first and foremost thing is actually go out there and volunteer within that field to find out if that's even something you want to do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because what I found a lot with these students is they go through the whole thing, and when they do, they're in their senior year, they start to junior senior, and they start to volunteer and go into the field to like really find out. They later come out thinking, oh my god, this is not what I thought it was actually going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you're already in your senior and junior year. Like there's only so much you can do afterwards. You can't exactly like turn to a different major or
Oh,
whatnot
yeah.
if you find out like, okay, this is not what I want to do
So it's better
at
to do
all.
that in your freshman year, your first or
Yeah,
second year.
it's better to go into like a volunteer experience or an
Mm-hmm.
internship within the field, get some sort of exposure and like talk to a bunch of people to like really figure out what it is that you're looking for. um, if you're trying to go down the medical route, like become a doctor, is this really what you want to do as a nurse? Is what your conception is of a nurse really uh, how it is in life, in like
Yeah.
real life? Is this what you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people who go into medicine, I mean, often are very hardworking and they are very dedicated. But would your advice also apply to other career paths too?
It generally does
Yeah.
because like at least if we catch them really early,
Hmm.
um, they can definitely go down to different like majors or paths, and we generally direct them. Okay, what is it that you like? What don't you like? Have you tried this yet? If you haven't tried this yet, before you knock it off, like try it, and then later see like, okay, if you really don't like it, that's it. Then
Yeah.
cross that off the list. But for people who are in their like junior senior year who are in this position where it's like, gosh, dang it, I'm not into this major or like this career path. What do I do?
Hmm.
What we generally tell them is, okay, you're in your junior senior year. You are so close to graduating with this major. So why don't you go ahead and finish with this major, but don't let that major define you, because your major in college doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to be in life.
Yeah.
So you can do your major, go through it, go through with it, but find internships, find other programs, um, get a minor, like go into a class that you find very interesting, talk to the professors, the departments, see what other things there are for you to get into while you're just completing your major.
I really
And
like
like,
that message. Yeah, that's
yeah,
and you're offering people this hope that oh, there are options that
yes,
people can pursue in life, and that they're not sort of necessarily wedded or defined by one particular major.
yeah,
They can explore other things even after college or
yeah,
even towards the
definitely.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, and like for whatever it is, we do have resources that we are like affiliated with or
Hmm.
know about, and then we send those students like to those affiliations or like to a link and just say like, try this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll like this. If you don't, come back, let us know. We'll like work with you to find something else.
Yeah.
Um, but you don't have to feel as though you're tied down to like one thing. And
Yeah.
our other message is also like you want to meet as many people as possible.
What do you
And
mean by
to
that?
what I mean by that is if you have a goal, um, then you should go out there within that field, talk
Hmm.
to people, build your relationship with them because you want to build also your network. So the
Mm-hmm.
more people you know within different fields, the more opportunities you'll be able to be open to and have like offer to you.
That's such a strong message. So I'm hearing from you like a lot of what you do to coach people on their success is to encourage them to get, a lot of personal in-depth experience with
Yeah.
what they are hoping to achieve.
Hmm.
And doesn't necessarily apply to pre-meds, but also any sort of other career
It
paths.
applies to everyone,
Yeah.
every student. It doesn't matter what major you are, what career path you're looking into.
Yeah.
It's very important to know that you aren't tied down to whatever you define as your major. And it's always good to build your network because
Yeah.
you never know when that's going to come in handy.
The network. So why is that important? Especially for shy people. I imagine that there are a lot of folks who um, may have been taught, a lot of students and a lot of also early career professionals, they're taught that if they work hard and they do what they're told, that's a success. Is that enough, or is networking something that they need to do?
I think that success is defined by the person.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel like they work hard, they get to a specific place and they're satisfied with it, then that themselves is successful. And there's
Nice.
no
Okay.
judgment from us to say, like, that's not success. If
Yeah.
you think that's success, then that is. And we're more than happy to, like, congratulate you and make you feel like you achieved your goal because you did.
Yeah.
But for other people, it is important for them to at least be social because say they want to do one thing, they do it for a while, but then they find out, oh man, I really don't like this. I want to move somewhere else. It's good to have a social network
Mm-hmm.
where they can talk to somebody else about like different things or say, we're going to go back to this pre-med thing. Say this person is pre-med, finds out they don't like it, but then they find a love for computer science,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's good to have or know people within that field. So then they can guide you as to, oh, what sort of path there is within computer science, because computer science is a general umbrella
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
other like career paths within it. You could be a software engineer, you could be like a data scientist or whatnot, right?
Yeah. Eh,
So it's good to know and have like people in like your address book that you can contact.
Yes, yes, I like that message. It's something that I know you've talked to us, before this before our podcast about how how to draw inspiration. You can draw inspiration and and education from a lot of different people,
Mm-hmm.
friends, family, colleagues, and mentors is what you've told me that you yourself personally do, but
Mm-hmm.
also gathering a lot of data and a lot of data points about a decision. And the data points can include other people's observations and other people's
Yes.
stories, but also sort of that personal experience too. So, with that, I was wondering, I'm hearing from you, one of the struggles that students have is about how to make an informed and a career decision and how to get those data points. Are there other struggles that you've seen students face in the undergraduate setting that they come to you and ask you for your advice about?
Yes, they're actually like way more than just like what we talked about.
Hmm.
One of the other biggest ones is mental illness.
Mental illness. Hmm.
That they come to us about. Um, a lot of it is like depression, anxiety. Um, those are like the two biggest ones that we have with our students.
Hmm.
So they come to us to like find out how can we help them with their academics and mediate between like instructors, helping
Hmm.
them um, talk to their professors or their advisors or how to go about doing that so that they can have some sort of accommodation or
Oh.
because students are at all different levels in college. Some of them are confident enough to talk to their advisors or their professors themselves, others are not. Some of them are a little bit more abrasive about it, and so they go about it the wrong way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're there to like help guide them. Okay, this is how you should be talking to this specific professor or this advisor because we do have a good like repertoire with those professors and advisors, and we deal with them enough to know like how they feel about certain things and how to approach them.
Oh, okay.
So it's nice for those students to come in and like we will either help talk to them to their advisors on
Hmm.
their behalf if
Mm.
they're going through something like difficult mentally, and at least for them when they come to us they know it's like a safe non-judgmental place that they can like say stuff, and we are actually equipped to help these students because a lot of our coaches have a background in counseling.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we know how to deal with these types of students and help them calm down, find a place where it's comfortable enough for them to, for lack of a better term, spill their guts
Yeah.
about like whatever it is they feel is going on in their life or they feel uncomfortable about.
So you mentioned there's a particular, or like there could be a right way to approach um, a professor or an
Yes,
instructor, and then there may be a wrong way. And you
yes,
mentioned abrasive. So what's the right way and what's the wrong way that you could feel comfortable describing to us?
sure. So one right way of talking to an instructor is either approaching them and letting them actually approaching them politely,
Mm-hmm.
right? And acknowledging them as like you're an authority figure, you're my instructor, you're my advisor or whatnot, and I respect you. And I want to come and tell you like I have these sort of symptoms
Mm-hmm.
and I need certain accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be so kind as to work with me on them?
Yeah.
And give me those sort of accommodations because of my mental illness or like my whatever illness that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of like a good approach, which some students are able to do. A wrong approach, and I have two, is
Oh, okay. This is gonna be good. I got to hear this.
one abrasive way is to come off very like privileged and
Uh-huh.
as though like you're my my instructor or my advisor. And our school is a private school, so they pay a lot of money, and so they sort of feel entitled to have certain services.
Hmm.
So one that I've seen a few students actually do is come off to an instructor demanding that
Yeah.
they treat them and give them accommodations, as they're there to serve the students,
Hmm.
which is really not the right way to approach anyone at all,
Yeah.
because you already turn off the person from wanting to help you in the first place,
Hmm.
and you're not giving any sort of respect to a person who you're asking help for.
Yeah.
And the second one is that's a really abrasive one. The second one is giving the instructor or advisor no contact at all and
Oh, okay.
waiting until like the very last minute to make demands,
Oh, wow.
where it's too late to do anything but still demand something of them, and then show them like a bunch of like medical documentations and pressure them into doing what they want.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you've seen
those
both.
are wrong ways to approach a professor or an advisor.
And you can totally extrapolate. Well, I know we're chuckling about this, but this is quite serious because
Yeah.
this is when you're going through life beyond high school and you're trying to approach someone who is in a position of authority
Yes.
for accommodations or resources,
Hmm.
resources meaning like funds for your projects or time for your projects. I can imagine that that first way approach is the way to go, and to do it in a respectful manner with ample time and
Yes.
a neutral but a proposal versus the abrasive method
Yes.
or the procrastinator's method.
Exactly. Which we see a lot of,
Yeah.
actually in our field. Unfortunately, there are students who actually approach it correctly, which is really nice. And
Hmm.
with those students, they get a lot more out of their relationship with their professor or advisor, because they're willing to help the students a lot more.
Mm,
Plus, going back to it, it's a good way to get them to be in your social network, because
yeah.
they're also working professionals who are experts in their field. So they would
Oh,
know a lot more if you are a lot more respectful of them.
I like that. That actually, that's something I myself, when I was going through undergraduate, I never really thought about.
Mhm.
And I admit I did this 1.5 decades ago, but with approaching professors as if they were going to be part of my future social network, it's
Yeah,
always good to ensure that you act in a professional manner and
exactly.
not go down in flames.
Yeah, no. We've had those, and like those, you don't want to burn any bridges with like people who could potentially help you out later on in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, that's so a lot to unpack. I mean, you've taught us today about how setting a vision, talking about mission and goals is important, but also having that informed by experiences. And
Mhm.
it sounds like I didn't use this term earlier, but little life experiments. You're saying that people should try things like volunteering or collecting stories from other people, and then also
That or
some.
internships.
Oh, internships, yes.
Yeah.
Is that some? You said that your office specifically has some connections, and then some students, and they may not have those connections. I don't know if that scenario has ever come up where where a student doesn't have access to uh, internships or doesn't have access to people.
Yeah, so we do go through our own affiliations with people, like personal affiliations, especially if you feel like, oh, this student is a really good student. We
Hmm.
really want to support them. We know what their goals are exactly. And it totally aligns with this personal connection I have with somebody else and within the field that the student is interested in.
Yeah.
We don't mind connecting them with those people. Of course, we give them the talk saying like, I'm gonna connect you with this person. Please be respectful and like respond to this person. However, well, respond to them in a professional manner.
Yeah.
But then also make sure that you don't do anything that may, you know, seem impolite to them or unprofessional to them,
Ah.
because then that can affect, your future relationship with this person or relationship with me,
With the
because
school,
that
you mean?
no with like the coach generally, because it's a personal connection, right?
Ah, okay.
Like that will come back to me and I will hear about it. I will talk to you about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's basically, please be professional.
Yeah.
Don't be unprofessional, because it will come back to me. And
Yeah,
I will.
it'll haunt you.
Yeah. But also there's just like, even though I'm connecting you with this person, there are no guarantees
Yeah,
with
yeah.
anything. Just keep note of that in the back of your mind, because when you want to make a very good impression, but that's all on you.
Hmm.
The only thing that I can do is connect you with this person and introduce you. I
Hmm.
can't give you a job. That's up to that person to decide.
Yeah.
So I want you to act professional, act respectful, and do you. And then hopefully it'll turn into something. But
Yeah.
don't do anything disrespectful, because I will hear it.
Yeah. Wise words. Oh, absolutely wise words. A lot of students, I imagine, who are listening to us right now, was wondering if you had any, uh, as we wrap up our time together,
Mhm.
are there any advice or any sort of wise words, wisdom, success tidbits or tips that you could give to our listeners?
Yeah, so as we like talked about it in our talk right now, it's just keep your mind and your eyes open.
Hmm.
Don't close them to any potential opportunities. Even though you think you might not like it, if you haven't tried it, don't knock it.
Yeah.
Try it and then see, because you never know if that can lead to something else. I've known people who changed their careers from like a doctor to a shoemaker or shoe designer, to be
Mm-hmm.
more exact, because she found it a lot more um, engaging and exciting for her, and it
Hmm.
actually was, it fit her passions to the T, as opposed to being a doctor, which
Yeah.
is, you're kind of like, what? But because I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what she wanted to do, and that's something she tried later on in life, and she was just like, I was always interested in design, I just didn't do it because, you know I'm following like my parents' views, and their
Hmm.
goals of what I wanted to be didn't really follow mine. And now that she became it, she fulfilled her parents' goals, but now she wanted to fulfill her own, which is to be a designer, and she became a shoe designer, and she's way more
Wow.
happier than being a doctor. And I
Wow.
think,
Wow.
to me, that is being successful,
Yeah.
right? Doing something you love and are passionate about.
That is phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, you've helped tens of thousands of students in the past. You've seen careers grow and blossom. So it's, that topic of parental pressure and expectations, that's a whole nother podcast,
And yeah,
maybe
it's another thing.
maybe a whole podcast series in itself. So we got to
Oh,
have you back, and we will have you back because you're one of our co-hosts for Imagine Talks.
mhm.
But we're very lucky to hear from you about student success and the Student Success Center at University of San Francisco, in the midst of one of the world's intellectual capitals. So thank you, Tammy, for your time.
Thank you, Steve. It was really nice to talk to you. And I'm looking forward to talk more about like the whole parental um, views on this and like being a helicopter parent. We
Oh,
have a lot of those.
oh my gosh, we got to ask you about that. You know, amongst our Imagine Talks, that's a very common theme amongst our speakers. So,
Yeah.
helicopter parents
Hmm.
and parental expectations. We gotta hear more about this in the in a future episode. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Tammy,
Yep.
and
No problem.
yeah, and we'll wrap it up right now.
All right. Great. Thank you.